What's up, movie lovers? I'm Mike, and this is Gotta Love Them Movies. Oh, you guys, welcome back to another edition of Gotta Love Them Movies, your daily dose of movie news, and I'm so glad that you could join us here on this beautiful day, where we're not talking about movie news today. Today is actually a movie review. I recently had the opportunity to go to a couple of movie theaters down in Florida. Ooh, pardon me, excuse me. Yeah, if you've seen any of the editorials that I've been putting out recently, my girlfriend Kim and I had an opportunity to go down to Florida, visit her family, and while we were there, we tried to take advantage of some of the things that we could do down there. One of which, primarily, go see a couple of movies. Now, we didn't just willy-nilly go to the movies. We only agreed that we could go to the movie theaters if it was going to be a safe experience. And if you've seen some of the other editorials that I've did, specifically the ones about returning to the movie theaters, we had an extremely pleasant experience, an extremely great experience. Everybody kept their masks on. Everybody, pretty much kept to themselves. Everybody social distance, and everything was immaculately clean. But this is not a review of the movie theater going experience. So, if you want to check that out, go ahead and check that editorial out that I've already put out. This is a movie review of the film The New Mutants. That's right. So there's a few new. I mean, it's been in theaters for a few months now, but being that there's very few new movies coming out in theaters, this is one of the ones that that's still hanging in there. So The New Mutants is a film. It's the last movie in the 20th Century Fox kind of X-Men timeline or universe, or whatever you want to call it. And this particular film is very loosely tied into the other X-Men universe, or like into the other X-Men films. They a couple of times throughout the movie they reference the X-Men, and there's actually a scene or two that is tied directly into the movie Logan. I'm not going to spoil what it is. I'm not going to tell you how it ties into some of these other films. Technically that would be a spoiler. And if you are excited about seeing the film, I want to leave those surprises and secrets for you to see and behold yourself. But like I said, this is a review of the film. My overall takeaway, my overall experience, I didn't really care for this movie. I don't think it was a very good movie. They tried to do some really interesting things that fell so flat. They fell so flat. And it's a shame, because this was the last hurrah of the 20th Century Fox mutant X-Men universe films. Now the 20th Century Fox is 20th Century. It has been purchased by Disney. 20th Century they're keeping the 20th Century moniker. They've dropped Fox. I think they kind of want to social distance themselves a little bit in that regard. But The New Mutants. I knew it wasn't going to be a great movie going in. But I think I still had my hopes a little bit higher than what it was able to throw at me. So the basic idea, and again, I'm not going to give anything away here. The basic idea is that there are a handful of teenage kids, essentially locked in this institution together, and it's all run by this one doctor, and she has the people that she report to and whatever, whatnot. And as there's a newcomer, there's a new girl who kind of comes into this institution, and this institution is to essentially, the purpose is to help these teenagers realize their mutant powers, control their mutant powers, and kind of fully formulate their mutant powers, right? So there's an event at the beginning of the movie. There's a girl who comes to this institution, and then all of this weird stuff starts happening. it's supposed to be creepy. It's like this movie was kind of branded or tried to be sold, or it was marketed as a horror movie. Oh, this is going to be our first X-Men, mutant universe horror movie, and oh, we're gonna do some really cool things. And that's the thing, they had an opportunity to do some really cool stuff with this. They didn't. I mean, there was one scene of the movie that was mildly creepy, but it wasn't creepy beyond anything that I haven't seen before. It was meh. The whole movie was meh. So let's go ahead and break it down a little bit, shall we? Let's talk about the acting of the movie. The acting across the board was not great. I feel like Anya Taylor-Joy was she plays Peter Rasputin's sister, I believe, in the movie. Peter Rasputin is of course he plays Cyclops. What's his name? Colossus. Sorry, Colossus. He plays Colossus in the other X-Men films, and also in Deadpool and in the comics. So Anya Taylor-Joy was kind of marketed as the main character of the movie. She is not. She's a side character. So it's weird that in all of the marketing, she was kind of like, hey, Anya Taylor-Joy, Anya Taylor-Joy, Anya Taylor-Joy. And of course, now she's in Queen's Gambit. She's in the television show Queen's Gambit, which is just being reviewed to all of the high marks. So when you see Anya Taylor-Joy, and, also the same girl from the movie Split, in the movie Glass by M. Night Shyamalan, I think we were kind of hoping for something a little bit better. Also, Maisie Williams from Game of Thrones, she's in it. The guy who plays Jonathan Byers from Stranger Things, he's in this movie. I was expecting everyone's acting to kind of maybe be a little bit better, and it wasn't. Anya Taylor-Joy doing kind of a generic Russian, Ukrainian, Eastern European kind of an accent. It didn't work for me. I didn't buy for a second that she was Russian or Ukrainian or wherever she claimed to be from. I didn't buy it. No one was charismatic. There was no central figure. I guess there was a main character, but it was her kind of main. She's like the new student here in this institution. But they didn't do a very good job at, getting you. We'll talk about like the writing and the directing in a minute, but I don't know, like the acting just it wasn't the worst I've ever seen, but it wasn't good, you guys. It was not good. So acting, I'm gonna give an 11 out of 20. So the directing, I kind of touch on the directing. They had a tone that they were shooting for. And see, here's the thing. Like, if you announce a project and you say, this is going to be this kind of a genre, but then you do that genre light, or like you promise something that you just don't deliver on, I feel like that was this. I guess the pacing of the movie was okay. It felt short. It kind of felt a little short. I think runtime was like 90 minutes, something like that. It could have gone on maybe a little, like give me another 15 minutes to kind of feel a little bit more fully realized. These characters were not well developed. These characters weren't even really developed. It was just, here's a stereotype character, here's a stereotype character. And we didn't get to, I mean, this is part of the writing. I mean, I'm talking about the writing here, and I'll get into that in a minute, but in terms of directing, the style, the visuals, I mean, like it's no secret if you've seen the trailer at all, you know that Demon Bear makes an appearance in this. Okay, sure, it's a big bear that has fire coming out of its eyes. It kind of glows a little bit. It's huge. Okay, and like, we never really got to see these mutants use their powers all that much. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, of course. It's a mutant X-Men-ish light film. So yeah, of course they're going to use their powers to some extent, but they didn't put them to good use. I don't know. The pacing was weird. The tone of the movie just didn't work for me. The editing was not good. In fact, I don't even feel like they filmed everything that they wanted or needed to film, because things felt very disjointed here. All of that, for that reasoning, I'm giving directing a 9 out of 20. It wasn't a complete waste. It wasn't like, I guess cinematography looked okay. Like, I don't know, but there was just a lot of the directing that didn't work. Writing, I had the biggest problem with. Maybe not the biggest problem, but I had a huge problem with the writing. This story was so generic. Nothing felt fresh. Nothing felt original. Nothing jumped out at me to say like, oh, it was an interesting concept. It's an interesting concept to have kind of a psychological thriller. And I feel like that's the vibe that they should have been going for, as opposed to a horror movie, because they did not deliver on a horror movie at all. They didn't even deliver on a psychological thriller note. But, like I said, the characters were not well developed. The story was so plain and generic. You knew what was, like, you can anticipate, you can guess what's coming. It's not a good story. I'm sorry, but it's not a good story. The actors, the main character, Danielle Moonstar was the main character. Her act, I can't remember the name of the girl that played her, but she didn't do anything to make me care about the character. Her acting was so flat. And I think a lot of that was based on the script. They didn't give these characters anything to do. Like, yeah, there were two characters that kind of like fell for each other romantically, but okay? And like, that's not my entry point into these characters halfway through the movie. I need to be given a reason why I should care about these characters. What is it that makes this interesting? Why now? Why tell this story now? What is it about the state of the world that we live in, or socially, or economically? Like, what is it that you're saying? What's the message of the movie? What is it you're trying to accomplish? If it's just, another generic action adventure superhero movie, okay. But like, what is it? What are you trying to say? What message are you putting out there? And there wasn't a very strong message at all. Very little of this was coherent. Like I said, all of the characterizations were very generic. Anya Taylor-Joy was the mean girl, but why? Why was she the mean girl? There was like the stereotypical kind of jock who was like, oh, I'm the strong silent type, and I'm super rich, and I'm gonna tell you why I'm here. Okay. Why? Again, never given any reasons. It's just, here's the thing that happens. Why? No, because it's happening. Bad writing. It was bad writing. 6 out of 20. It was a bad story. An interesting concept that did not have a good story attached to it. The takeaway of the movie, I don't know. I feel like I'm giving Takeaway a better score than it deserves. The takeaway, I will tell you, it's a 10 out of 20. It's a very generic movie of, hey, we have good characters and bad characters, and it's up to the good characters to figure themselves out and come to terms with themselves and use that as a springboard to overcome evil. It's extremely generic, and there's nothing new or fresh to say about it. I don't know, maybe 10 out of 20 is too high of a score in that regards, but I don't know, that's very little redeeming about this. But so the effectiveness, how effective was this movie? This gets the worst score out of the 5 categories. I'm giving effectiveness a 3 out of 20. This did not even come close to what the studio wanted it to do. Now, granted, this film was in production hell for a very long time. They filmed this movie 4 years before it came out. It was filmed 4 years ago. And, with the acquisition of 20th Century Fox and all of the reshoots that they scheduled but then never happened, Director Josh Boone there was a huge controversy about, he wasn't doing what the studio wanted him to do, but he had a clear vision, but wasn't given the reins to make that clear vision happen. There was way too many muddled things that got in the way of this movie. Marketing the marketing looked great. It kind of looked pretty good. Looked pretty cool, right? It did not level up to what was promised in the marketing. Like I said, bad story, bad script, bad dialogue. The dialogue was really dumb. Bad acting. Bad characterizations. There's just a lot wrong with this film. It did not hit how the studio, you can tell what they wanted to do with it, and it didn't even come close. How a really cool psychological, you want to know how to do a cool psychological thriller? Watch the show Legion on FX. That's a great psychological thriller show. Cheap to make. Well, cheaper. Not a completely $0 budget, but it was a much cheaper property to make. They did some really cool stuff with it. It's a great story, great characterizations, and it's intellectual enough that it gives you enough to think about and process. And you're like, hang on, whoa, now I have to watch this again. I thought I knew what was going on, but now I have to watch it again to see it from a different perspective. It's a great show. And I feel like that should have been the template for the New Mutants to follow, and they just didn't. Everything fell so short here, you guys. So, all in all, the overall score for this movie is...
A man who controls a political machine and controls everything else worth controlling in my state. Yes, and a man even powerful enough to control congressmen, and I saw 3 of them in his room the day I went up to see him. Senator, yield. No, sir, I will not yield.
That's right, you guys. I'm giving the New Mutants a 39 out of 100. I was expecting somewhere around the 50% mark or 60% mark. That going into it, I knew it wasn't going to be a great movie, but I was kind of figuring 50, 60, somewhere through there. And it didn't even hit 40 for me. It's pretty bad. It's not a complete train wreck. It's not a complete train wreck of a movie, but there's just a lot that just doesn't add up. It doesn't make you feel fulfilled or sustained in going to see it. But anyway, guys, the big question that I have for you is, what did you think of the New Mutants? First of all, did you have an opportunity to go see it? And if you did, what did you think of it? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. And if you haven't seen it, do you still want to see it? Does this review make you less excited, more excited? I doubt it's going to make you more excited, because my opinion of the film is it's a bit of a stinker. Anyway, guys, I want to know what you have to say or think about the New Mutants. Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. And as always, you guys, if you like this video, click like. If you really like this video, click subscribe. And if you really, really like this video, click share. Because that is exactly what the New Mutants would want you to do. All right, guys, my name is Mike Brown. This is Gotta Love the Movies, your daily dose of movie news. I'm here all the time. And until next video, have a great day.